Let us pray. God is here.
When the heart feels too big for the chest, you know the weight of what overflows inside us, the ache that presses against the ribs when emotions have nowhere else to go, the quiet tremble of love, fear, hope, and longing all speaking at once. And in this sacred crowding of the soul, you do not rush us or demand explanations. You simply stay, steady as breath, gentle as nightfall, reminding us that you shape this heart and you understand every beat it struggles to hold. You see the tears that never fall and the prayers that never found words. You hear the silent cries hidden behind strength and smiles, and you draw near not to fix us quickly, but to carry us patiently, to let the swelling inside become a place of encounter rather than collapse. And in this moment, if you will, come closer and let us breathe with you, because your presence makes room where there was none. Your mercy stretches the walls of our fear. Your love teaches the heart that it is allowed to feel deeply without breaking. And as we rest here, we learn that what feels overwhelming is often a sign of a soul awakening, a heart learning to trust that it is not alone, that every uncontained emotion is held safely in your hands, and that even when the chest feels tight, your peace moves softly through us, widening the space within. When the heart feels too big for the chest, it is often because it has carried more than it was meant to carry alone. Memories layered upon memories, prayers unanswered yet not unheard, love given freely and pain absorbed quietly. And you, Lord, know how heavy that quiet weight can become. How the soul learns to be strong by compressing its own needs. How the breath shortens when emotions press inward, and still, you do not accuse or correct. You cradle us in understanding, reminding us that even this pressure has a purpose, that the heart expands because it is alive, because it still hopes, because it still dares to feel in a world that often teaches numbness. And right here, in the middle of this fullness, we open ourselves just enough to let you sit with us, to let you share the load we never asked anyone else to see. And as we do, we sense that you are not overwhelmed by our intensity, not frightened by our depth, but honored by our honesty, gently teaching us that surrender is not collapse. It is trust, that releasing what we hold does not make us weak, it makes us held. And slowly, without force, you begin to teach our hearts how to rest inside your presence, even when emotions still overflow. And the heart feels too big for the chest. It can feel like standing at the edge of oneself, unsure whether the next breath will calm or break us. Yet you remain attentive to every subtle shift within, noticing the moments when strength turns into strain and courage quietly asks for rest. And you remind us that even the most faithful hearts grow tired, that even love needs a place to lay its head. And in this tender awareness, you invite us into gentleness, not as an escape, but as a refuge, where we no longer have to explain why we feel so much or apologize for the depth of our emotions, because you never asked us to be smaller, only to be real. And in this sacred pause, we allow ourselves to lean inward toward you, trusting that you are already here, already listening, already making space where the pressure once lived. And as your presence settles around us, we feel something loosen. Not everything, but enough to breathe again, enough to remember that a full heart is not a burden to you. It is a testimony of a life still open, still receptive, still reaching for hope even when it trembles. And within this quiet connection, we discover that we are safe to feel, safe to wait, and safe to let our emotions unfold under your care. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a hush beneath the noise where you meet us without urgency, where the throb of feeling becomes a rhythm. You understand, and you teach us that intensity is not danger when it is held by love, that the waves inside us are not meant to drown us, but to carry us somewhere deeper. And as we listen closely, we realize how often we have mistaken fullness for failure, How often we tried to shrink what was growing because we feared it would cost us too much. Yet you never asked us to dim what you ignited. You ask us to trust the slow widening of our inner walls, to let compassion stretch us, to let grief teach us tenderness, to let hope remain even when it feels fragile. And right now, if it feels possible, we let ourselves sit with you in the middle of all this feeling, allowing your calm to steady what trembles, allowing your patience to teach our racing thoughts how to slow. And though nothing is suddenly solved, something is deeply soothed, a knowing that this heart, though full, is not alone, and that every feeling finds its meaning when it rests in your presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is often a quiet fear that if we loosen our grip, everything will spill at once. Yet you remain unafraid of our depths, steady in the way you hold us while feelings surge and recede, teaching us that containment is not the same as control, and that trust can be softer than tension. And in the stillness, we begin to notice how your nearness steadies the pulse, how your faithfulness gives shape to what felt formless. And without forcing anything, we sense permission to slow, to let the breath find its own pace, to let emotions be present without ruling us. And in this gentle moment, we whisper to ourselves to come rest here with you, because you are not asking for answers or performances, only presence. And as we remain, the pressure shifts from panic to possibility, from overwhelm to awareness. And we learn that a heart expanded by feeling is not breaking but becoming, discovering room it did not know it had, held open by grace that does not hurry us past what must be felt. When the heart feels too big for the chest, the nights can feel longer and the silence louder, yet you are present even there, attentive to the thoughts that circle without rest and the emotions that rise when everything else has gone quiet. And you do not rush us toward daylight, but sit with us in the dimness, reminding us that darkness is not abandonment. It is often the place where listening deepens, where the soul finally speaks honestly. And in this slow companionship, you show us that nothing inside us is wasted, not the ache, not the longing, not the unanswered questions that press so close they steal our breath. And here, as gently as we can, we choose to stay with you a little longer, letting your calm anchor us while our feelings move freely. And as we do, we sense how your peace does not silence the heart, but gives it room to speak without fear, how your love becomes a quiet boundary that holds everything together. And though the weight has not vanished, it feels less threatening now, more like a story still unfolding, a reminder that this heart is alive, still reaching, still learning how to rest within your faithful presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, the body remembers things the mind tries to forget, holding stories in muscle and breath. And you notice every subtle signal we ignore, every sigh we dismiss, every tightness we call normal. And you meet us there with compassion that listens without interrupting, teaching us that healing often begins by paying attention, by honoring what the heart has been carrying for so long. And as we slow down, we recognize how often we have learned to endure instead of feel, to survive instead of rest. Yet you gently remind us that endurance is not the same as wholeness. And right now we allow ourselves to turn toward you with whatever is rising, trusting that you are strong enough to hold it with us. And as we stay, something softens, not because the story has changed, but because we are no longer alone inside it. And the heart, though still full, begins to feel accompanied, understood, and safely held within your steady, unshaken love. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a tenderness that emerges when we stop resisting it, a fragile honesty that you welcome without judgment, and you show us how much courage it takes simply to feel what is real, to acknowledge the weight without naming it a failure. And in this awareness, You invite us to release the harsh voices we have carried inside, the ones that tell us to toughen up or move on too quickly, replacing them with a quieter truth that says we are allowed to be human here, allowed to ache and hope at the same time. And in this gentle permission, we lean toward you, letting your presence become our ground, trusting that you are not measuring our progress but honoring our sincerity. And as we remain close, the heart learns that fullness does not have to be frightening, that emotions can exist without demanding escape, and slowly we discover a steadier rhythm beneath the surge, a sense that this heart, though stretched, is learning how to rest in the safety of your unwavering care. When the heart feels too big for the chest, we often wonder how something unseen can feel so heavy. Yet you understand the invisible weight of emotions that have no language, the love that has nowhere to go, the grief that lingers without explanation, and you meet us with a patience that does not hurry our understanding, reminding us that some things are meant to be felt before they are ever understood. And in this quiet knowing, you guide us away from self-judgment and toward compassion, showing us that sensitivity is not weakness but awareness. And right here, in the middle of this overflowing, we gently allow ourselves to draw closer to you, trusting that you are not overwhelmed by what overwhelms us. And as we stay with you, the pressure inside begins to change shape, becoming less like a threat and more like a testimony of a heart still open to love, still capable of connection, still alive with purpose. And within this sacred nearness, we sense that even our deepest emotions are finding a safe place to rest. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a quiet courage required to stay present instead of escaping. And you honor that courage by meeting us right where we are, not asking us to fix or explain what we feel, only to remain honest before you. And you remind us that hearts expand because they are learning compassion, because they have loved deeply and carried others faithfully. And though that expansion can ache, it also reflects a capacity you have carefully formed. And in this understanding, we let ourselves draw nearer to you now, allowing your steadiness to become the rhythm we borrow when ours feels unsteady. And as we linger, the tightness eases just enough to reveal a deeper truth, that this fullness is not a sign of collapse but of growth, that a heart stretched by feeling is also being prepared to hold greater peace, greater mercy, and greater trust in your sustaining presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is often a longing to be understood without having to explain, and you read that longing with ease, seeing past words into the quiet spaces where feelings gather. And you reassure us that being seen does not require performance, only presence. And as we rest in that truth, we notice how your gentleness lowers the defenses we built to survive, how your kindness softens the edges of fear. And in this calm awareness, we let ourselves come a little closer, trusting that you welcome us exactly as we are in this moment. And as we remain near, the heart begins to feel less like a pressure and more like a prayer in motion, expressing itself through trust rather than tension. And though the emotions remain full, they are no longer alone, held within a love that steadies, listens, and quietly reminds us that we belong here. When the heart feels too big for the chest, time itself can seem to slow, as if the soul is asking for space to catch up with all it has carried. And you are patient with this pace, never pushing us ahead of what our inner world is ready to hold, reminding us that rushing healing often deepens the ache. And in this slowed rhythm, you teach us how to notice grace in small moments, in steady breaths, in the quiet reassurance that we are still held even when clarity has not arrived. And here, with careful honesty, we allow ourselves to stay with you just as we are, not trying to resolve the feeling, but trusting the companionship. And as we remain, the heart learns that waiting is not emptiness. It is presence unfolding, a gentle preparation where emotions are not erased, but softened, shaped, and gradually wrapped in your calm, faithful love. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a deep desire for assurance that this feeling will not last forever, and you meet that desire with quiet faithfulness rather than quick answers, teaching us that permanence belongs to you, not to the weight we carry. And as we sit in this truth, we begin to sense how your constancy outlasts every surge of emotion, how your love remains steady even when our inner world shifts. And in this gentle steadiness, we allow ourselves to come rest beside you for a moment, trusting that nearness itself is enough for now. And as we stay, the heart learns to distinguish between urgency and importance, between what feels loud and what is lasting. And slowly the fullness within us becomes less frightening, more familiar, like a tide that rises and falls under a sky that never leaves, reminding us that we are held through every change by your enduring, patient presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, we sometimes fear that if we stop holding everything together, we might disappoint the world that depends on our strength. Yet you see how heavy that expectation can be, how love can turn into quiet exhaustion when it is never returned to rest. And you gently remind us that even strong hearts need shelter, that even those who carry much are allowed to be carried. And in this compassionate truth, we give ourselves permission to draw nearer to you now, not as helpers or fixers, but simply as children needing rest. And as we remain with you, the heart begins to unlearn the habit of constant giving, discovering that receiving is also holy, that being filled by your presence restores what has been poured out. And though the emotions still run deep, they are steadied by the knowing that we do not have to hold everything alone, because you are here, attentive and faithful, making room for us to breathe again. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a moment when vulnerability feels like standing without armor, exposed yet honest, and you honor that openness by surrounding us with a peace that does not judge or rush, showing us that safety is not found in hiding but in being known. And as this truth settles, we recognize how often we equated control with security, how we clenched our emotions to keep life manageable. Yet you patiently teach us a gentler way, one where trust replaces tension and surrender becomes a form of strength. And here, in this quiet space, we choose to let you see us fully, letting the walls soften just enough to allow your comfort in. And as we remain, the heart begins to understand that openness does not lead to collapse. It leads to connection, to a deeper awareness that we are not fragile because we feel deeply. We are alive and deeply loved within your steady, welcoming presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, the future can feel uncertain, as if emotions have carried us to a threshold we did not plan to cross. Yet you stand there with us, calm and unshaken, reminding us that uncertainty does not mean abandonment. It often means transition. And in this in-between space, you teach us to trust without seeing, to breathe without knowing what comes next. And as this learning unfolds, we gently turn toward you again, choosing to stay present rather than retreat into fear. And as we remain, the heart begins to sense that growth often feels like pressure before it feels like peace. That expansion comes with discomfort before it brings clarity. And though the path ahead is still forming, we are steadied by the assurance that you walk with us into whatever is becoming, making room for hope even when the way forward is not yet clear. When the heart feels too big for the chest, memory and hope often collide, past wounds brushing against future dreams. And you hold both without confusion, showing us that time does not divide you the way it divides us. And in this assurance we learn that what has been and what may come are equally safe in your care. And you invite us to release the habit of bracing for impact, to stop rehearsing pain that has not arrived. And in this moment we allow ourselves to draw closer to you again, trusting that you are already present in every tomorrow we fear. And as we stay, the heart begins to loosen its grip on anticipation and regret, discovering a quieter strength in the now, a steadying awareness that this very moment is enough, that your presence here is sufficient, and that even a heart stretched across time can rest when it is anchored in you. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there can be a quiet exhaustion that comes from carrying meaning everywhere we go, sensing depth in ordinary moments, feeling the ache behind simple words, and you recognize how tiring that awareness can be, how a sensitive heart rarely rests even in calm places, and you respond not by dulling our feelings, but by offering companionship within them, teaching us that awareness paired with love becomes wisdom rather than weight. And in this gentle understanding, we allow ourselves to come sit with you again, even briefly, letting your steadiness temper the constant motion inside. And as we linger, the heart begins to feel less alone in its depth, realizing that being moved so easily is not a flaw, but a calling toward compassion. And though the fullness remains, it is softened by the knowledge that you walk beside us, helping us carry meaning without being crushed by it, guiding this tender heart into a quieter, truer strength held within your faithful presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is often a silent prayer hidden beneath the emotions, a desire not necessarily for change, but for understanding. And you hear that unspoken longing with perfect clarity, responding with a closeness that reassures rather than explains. And in this nearness, we realize that being held is sometimes more healing than being answered. And so we allow ourselves to stay right here with you again, trusting that your presence is enough to steady what feels uncertain. And as we remain, the heart begins to sense that it does not need to shrink to survive. It needs to be guided, gently taught how to carry depth without losing balance. And in this sacred companionship, the fullness inside us becomes less overwhelming, more purposeful, like a well that runs deep rather than a vessel about to spill, reminding us that you are shaping this heart with care, patience, and a love that never withdraws. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a quiet surrender that happens not all at once, but breath by breath, a gradual loosening of the need to understand everything we feel. And you welcome that surrender with tenderness, never taking advantage of our openness, only guarding it. And in this safety, we begin to trust that our emotions do not define our future. They simply reveal where you are already working. And so once more, we let ourselves turn toward you, staying present in this moment rather than rushing ahead or looking back. And as we remain, the heart discovers a deeper steadiness beneath the surge, a calm that does not erase feeling but carries it with wisdom. And though the fullness still exists, it now rests within a growing confidence that nothing inside us is out of your reach, and that every part of this expanded heart is being gently shaped by your faithful, unending love. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a learning that happens quietly, where trust grows not from certainty, but from repeated moments of choosing presence over panic. And you walk us through that learning with patience that never shames our slowness, reminding us that growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels secure. And as this understanding settles, we notice how your nearness steadies our inner weather, how emotions still move but no longer command us. And in this gentle clarity, we choose again to stay close to you now, allowing your calm to guide our responses, our thoughts, our expectations. And as we remain, the heart begins to sense alignment, a feeling that depth and peace do not have to compete, that fullness can coexist with steadiness. And though the chest still feels tight at times, it is no longer frightening, because we are learning how to live spaciously inside ourselves while resting within your constant, guiding presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a dawning awareness that what once felt chaotic is slowly being ordered by love, not through control but through care. And you guide us into this awareness with a gentleness that teaches rather than demands, showing us how to listen to ourselves without fear, how to honor feeling without letting it overwhelm. And in this quiet maturity, we sense a new steadiness forming, subtle but real, and right now, if it feels right. We stay here with you again, letting this steadiness take root, trusting that you are shaping our responses even when emotions still rise. And as we remain, the heart begins to recognize its own strength, not the strength of suppression, but the strength of presence, the ability to feel deeply and still stand, to love fully and still rest. And though nothing about us has become smaller, everything within us has become more grounded, held in balance by your attentive, guiding presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, we begin to sense that this journey has been quietly changing us, not by removing feeling, but by teaching us how to carry it with grace. And you reveal that transformation gently, almost unnoticed, in the way fear no longer rules every thought and emotion no longer feels like an enemy. And in this growing awareness, we recognize how faithfully you have stayed with us through every breath, every pause, every moment we chose not to run. And now, with a softer confidence, we allow ourselves to remain close to you once more, trusting that this closeness has become our home. And as we stay, the heart settles into a deeper rhythm, one that knows it can feel fully and still be safe, that it can overflow without being lost. And though the fullness remains, it now feels purposeful, like a vessel prepared to hold compassion, patience, and peace shaped slowly by your constant, loving presence. When the heart feels too big for the chest, there is a quiet recognition that we are not who we were when this feeling began, and you gently affirm that change without ceremony, letting us notice it in the way we breathe more deeply now, in the way fear no longer feels absolute. And in this recognition, we sense gratitude rising softly, not because everything is resolved, but because we are still here, still open, still walking with you. And in this moment, we choose again to remain near, allowing this gratitude to rest between us like a shared understanding. And as we stay, the heart feels less strained and more settled, aware that what once felt unbearable has become familiar terrain, shaped by patience, guided by trust, and held together by your faithful presence that never left us even when the way forward felt unclear. When the heart feels too big for the chest, we arrive at a quiet truth that nothing we have felt was wasted, that every ache, every surge of love, every moment of pressure was gently shaping us for a deeper capacity to live and trust. And you receive us here not with expectation, but with completion, allowing the journey itself to speak. And in this final stillness, we choose once more to rest fully in you, letting everything we are settle into your care. And as we do, a peace rises that does not depend on circumstances, a calm that flows through the widened spaces of the heart. And after this soft turning toward you, you bless us with rest that reaches beyond the body, with hope that lingers beyond emotion, with a love that steadies every beat, and you send us forward held, renewed, and gently assured that this heart, however full, is safe, guided, and forever known in your presence.
Breathe for a moment. God is here. He wants to hear you. If this touched your heart, subscribe for more.